We are
Word.
This is my voice. I have eyes where nobody can see them. If you know how to look for eyes, though, you'll know they're there, and you will be able to define that way of seeing. It is not so grotesque to be able to see more, not always the curse we all once thought. The worst we suffer from a multiplied consciousness is overstimulation. This knowing is less like mosquito eyes and more like a separate body that clings to us and stretches to shake hands with the rest of the world before we even travel to see it. What does it feel like to not know your sisters before you even meet them, or that you have any? I wouldn't know. I can see the walls are made of skin before you can. I do this poet shit so I can see everything. All good, all bad, all ugly, all skin and bloody organs. I know both what you think of me and what I think of me. You know what I mean. For real. What Mr. Dubois said. Niggas are everywhere. Even in Paris. And we standing in the sun getting as black as we want. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
This is my voice. It's always simp hours in this house, and by this house, I mean my body. But what can I say? All of you are so beautiful, so I've made this poem for you. Haven't you always wanted to be in a poem, to be seen in your best light, to be caught off guard, smiling, candid in the light of golden hour, on your best day, in your favorite fit? Well, here I am, seeing you, beholding your foolish grin and the twinkle in your eye. I became a poet in order to love you better, my friends, to enumerate in great detail your ringing laughter, your silly dance moves, the way you text the group chat in the morning when you're hungover but had so much fun. I am here to wash the shame from your feet, to plant a kiss on your forehead and watch you blush, because isn't that what houses are for? To live in. Isn't that what bodies are for? To run, to skip, to boogie. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
This is my voice. Dearest beloveds, I would like to relay to you a list of scandalous things I did in the Yale College dorms this semester. First, I ordered a hot plate, a double burner, some pots and pans, bought some tortilla flour to make something worthy of being called nourishment. I draped a towel over myself in the shared bathroom, the window half open, the cherry blossoms tapping on the glass. To ask for more, I cried on the floor, listening to Father John Misty more than once because I deserve that kind of respite. I have been letting myself be aimless. To walk outside and enjoy the new blooms without a drop of guilt. My voice has seen more sunshine in the past 3 weeks than it has in the past year combined, which is to say that my voice is once again reaching the point of a yellow-tinted flourishing, the sun reflected in all that I do, and yes, this whole semester I have done arts and crafts when I was supposed to be watching lecture. Crocheting little wallets with patterns of strawberries to gift to people I love. I will claim it as an act of rebellion. A grand screw you to this place that expects me to be productive at all times, so I guess you could say I have been living on the edge. And I gotta admit, I kind of like the thrill of living my one wild and precious life. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
This is my voice, writing love poems to ghosts, to tulips, to coffee grounds, and smelling like the place you've just come from, to the fat bee I saved off the sidewalk, to the small things I cradle in my hands while we wait for the world to become quiet again, my voice with which I hope to never hold back, and I love you, and I've missed you so, the way your laugh breaks everything open, all of you with your sun-dropped faces and pasta recipes, and please, let us not forget the way it was when we were all together. Come sit in my hand, come be the bee. I'll return you to the sweetest flower. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
This is my voice. Let this be a love letter to my homies. A promise that when we are at last reunited, I will give them all a hug and a sweet little kiss on the forehead. My voice looks upon my friends and thinks, what are each of you if not the moon? If not bright as hell? If not something always working back to the peak of your own shining, sometimes my voice fears that there is not enough of me to keep you in one place. That is, the gravity gets to be a prison, the fear that all love is temporary, that all love is waning and known only in cycles, not so much the beautiful thing but the rubble left after we've held it. But so too my voice thinks that all love must be water, that all water has perfect memory and is forever trying to get back to where it was. That is, my voice is forever trying to find its way back to you. Has never forgotten the sound of your laugh. My voice love you fierce, my voice love you deep. My voice is running out of adjectives to describe all the ways in which it loves you. So at this point you're just going to have to take my word for it. But even then know that my word is my bond, that my bond is sacred, that anything sacred is real, that nothing real can be broken, and that this is my voice.
This is my voice.
This is my voice. As one of my best friends so beautifully put it, I am officially on my one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish shit. Sometimes I try to put pen to paper and nothing comes to mind but the piano sequence at the beginning of Runaway. And I know Kanye ain't kin no more, but sometimes I too feel like a stranger unto myself. I'm so gifted at finding what I don't like the most that I've forgotten the feeling of being sure. Call it sophomore slump, call it my flop era, but maybe I'm just discovering that not every thought needs to be a revelation. I might be in the unassuming lead up to something great, or I might be on the cusp of nothing at all. I am no longer enamored by the paradox of constant improvement, especially when the pursuit of perpetual progress carves away at my ability to love myself. No landlordship, but today I'm evicting the critic in my head. I'm extricating my body from my body of work. I'm trying to worry less about writing something special and trying instead to write something true. Maybe I don't always have to have something to say. My voice is so sick of finding something wrong. My voice is so relieved to be honest for once. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
This is my voice. Sometimes I like to imagine my life as alternate realities that could have been. In one, I worship Jesus in reverse and begin the day by forgiving him of his sins. I am holy then, this time not conscious of the thinly veiled line teetering between sin and saint. In another, my voice is piggybacking off of what the last person said in class. In that world, the discussion in my all-white seminars will be something other than the juxtaposition and woeful ignorance of multifaceted, marginalized communities. Or whatever the hell that means. Since this world would be different than my own, maybe we say something worthwhile, for once. In the last world, reality itself becomes so transformed that it no longer is even recognizable. Unraveling and forever evolving, I imagine those as the universes in which every blink is a change of dimension. Those time ripples warp into home, and in them the only thing that remains constant is my voice, and the person on the other side, listening. Together, we finally fly unquestioned and without explanation. We hold hands and my voice is then a gun, a flower, a surprise, a missed call, but always mine. Always mine. Always yours. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
This is my voice. And there are two options. We can rap along to Flo Milli or to Meg Thee Stallion. The point is that this voice is for bad bitches only. This voice is not in her 20s but roars along irregardless. Merriam-Webster says irregardless is a nonsensical word, but I'm a little tired of always trying to prove something, always trying to mean something in an overcooked or maybe half-baked metaphor. I didn't even know an adverb was an adverb until sometime in high school, and now I often use them in my unabashedly half-baked metaphors, which is to say, if language is failing you now, it might only fail you better in the future. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
This is my voice. There are about 3 ways to say masculinity. They require 2 different languages and a lineage lying on the bed of a mauled tongue. I try on the words masculine, macho, machismo, and wonder how many queer bodies the words have swallowed. I mean, certainly not mine. There are 1,000 ways to call me a bitch. Look it up, it's true. I don't like lies enough to make them my sin. My sin sits at the bottom of my belly, sloshes my stomach lining in glitter, and carves me out until blood is running down my legs. In fact, sin is a matrilineal trait. Look it up. It's true. Your mother's last name is a curse and her mother's last name is an apple pit. Chew on anything a woman has given you long enough and it will eventually make you nauseous and your tongue bleed. I love my mother so much. I wish she gave me a body that would love me back. Instead, I have an apple pit to wrap in vicious words that wish to strangle all the glitter out of me. Some people are born with fruit. Others are born with a prayer. I fumble through the thesaurus, and prayer hands wrap around me until my body is the dark room, dying place at the back of God's throat. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
This is my voice. If it breaks, know it is out of joy. For in every crushed rose is the gentle bite of a hungry deer, by which I mean I have been torn by the people I love, and I have loved them more in the tearing. Just as 2 bees making love in the air realize that everything leading up to that moment was only a prelude, and they learn easily what eludes most of us, which is that wholeness is giving up the shape of your soul to the shape of something else, the way a rose feeds a deer, the way a voice feeds an ear, or a heart. And yes, bees do not fuck, they make love. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
This is my voice. I track the flight of monarch butterflies with my eyes, watching as they settle their breakable bodies on milkweeds who've budded out of the under-earth of my chest. The wind teaches my skin to hold its unraveling, though I can't remember a time before this, when the beekeeper didn't have a name like the devil and skipping stones, each curiosity fragmenting a body of water, unable to remember everything that's broken the calm of its surface. For as long as I can remember, the beekeeper has kept my head below the surface of a pool whose edges my fingers could not reach, my lungs rushing with the flood needed to spurn the migration of some other lost thing. I'd like to imagine my ribs beautiful, a tadpole shelter brought up by lily pads, but the pool can't reflect back what it has swallowed, and I can't remember what it's like to be. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
This is my voice. I cannot sleep. There is a film called Loving where all the people kiss for 3 minutes. I cried. Harold Bloom has a secret sci-fi novel that he tried to buy all the copies of, but I have one. Hee. Loving is shot on 35mm film. I want to be shot on 35mm film. Portrait for 100 looks so good on black people. Here is how my recent photography hobby is going. 3 rolls of fresh film I accidentally sent all the way back into the canister. Yay! Tendinitis in your right foot feels like walking on 9 trillion hot coals. Will you take me to Pacifico for dinner? Promise not to cancel. Promise not to release me into the ether like a bag on New Haven Green. Promise to cherish me like a pressed flower in between your notebook. Promise to love me. Promise to keep it. Promise the way the sun rises in the morning. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
This is my voice, and she is a burning chrysalis. This is what happens when you leave a voice stewing in a body for too long. She hardens, builds pattern from substance, knows words are the residue of meaning, but that does not mean they are nothing, no. This voice is the metamorphosis between speech and speechless. What I mean to say is my voice is the prefix to my mind's root. What I mean to say is I could coax a flame out of my throat like a promise. What I mean to say is if you read my mind, you would see the whole forest on fire. My voice turns thought into body and a charred pair of wings. My voice keeps a fuse under her tongue. Light her, she says. She will speak before she is destroyed. This is my voice.
This is my voice.
We are Word.
Okay. It's so funny because, well, hi everyone. How you doing? Hope it's a great Saturday. I started off laughing because I don't know if you guys know or not, but we're also watching our This Is My Voices for the first time while you guys are watching it, and it's such a strange experience. Like the whole time mine was going, I was like, damn, this shit long as hell. Like, so yeah, that's what my voice sounds like. That's what our voice sounds like. But yeah, I'm very, very, very happy to welcome you all here to our virtual Word Spring show. It's very like fitting, I feel like, the title specifically to this semester and to really cap off this year, because it too was the force of a long toil between Word Past and Word Future. To decide on this title, a former Word member literally jumped back into the chat to give their 2 cents on what our name would be, but we settled on this name and we hope you guys enjoy the pieces we have for you tonight. First, I want to start off with giving a little background about Word, who we are, and just our history. So in the beginning was the word. The origins of spoken word poetry are the origins of language itself. Before there was directed studies or Walt Whitman or even books, there were oral traditions of poems handed down generation after generation. Poems were how we kept our people alive. In honor of that, it's necessary that we begin this event by lending our attention to the Black legacies of jazz, blues, and the time-tested oral tradition of storytelling that gave rise to what we call spoken word. And as a residential group of the AFAM house, it's important that we recognize that history and lineage as what brings our voices to you guys today. So all of that being said, thanks to the ancestors and whatnot, but let's get into the slam. I can't be like, who here has been to a poetry slam? or to open mic or anything of that effect. But if you have, or even if you haven't, it's good to know that it's an energy exchange. And that means that use your platform, whatever it is, the best way you can. So since we're on like Zoom and YouTube Live, I want to see snaps and written out in the chat supporting the poets. You may think that they can't see it, but I know when it's not their poem, they're not listening. They're just going in and checking out, chat comments. So hype them up, give them something to look for. So yeah, all of that being said, please, thank you so much for all of your attention and committed attention throughout this slam. We have a lot of great work in store for you tonight. Let's get into this order. So I'm gonna be saying things like on deck and up next throughout the course of the night. On deck just means the poet coming after the one who's coming directly at this moment. It's less for you guys, more for us, so that we're not like taking a shit while we're supposed to go up next. So for example, I'll say on deck, our next person would be Forrest, but coming up to the stage now is Amma. And a little bit of a fun fact about Amma, Amma's actually currently going through this post-woke phase wherein she dresses like a lesbian and her lesbian friends bully her about it, and she feels more lesbian. Amma's straight, but if you're interested in knowing more, please contact her after the show. Everyone, please give a warm welcome for Amma.
My homies, my homies, my homies. Under desk lamp shine, our legs dangle over twin XL ledge, cast shadow over hardwood like a kiss or a bruise. I am sparkling and slathered with CeraVe. I scrunch my face into something striking in its unawareness. We exist somewhere separate from self-consciousness, where my favorite version of myself is my reflection in your eyes. You remind me that I am more than the sum of my ill-fitting parts. I read once that everything is a construct, and bestie, isn't that so true? Like how we constructed this love just for ourselves, how we said, let there be light and commenced this glowing. On days like this, I want to write a hymn about us, about the silent devotion when you wordlessly tuck in the tag at the back of my shirt, the way we pass around the same tired $20 with the breezy, I got you. So our offering can never run out, our cup runneth over again and again. Our revelations stretch across Instagram comment sections. I've probably told you hundreds of times how beautiful you look in the shadow of the setting sun, so I confess this instead. I would sing tongue-tied by group love with you until my breath ran hoarse. I will never tire of hearing your same stories over and over, every one of your hits and their remixes too. I no longer enumerate my blessings. I just pick up the phone and wait for your voice. I was proud of you before I knew you. I met you and I felt God. I am writing about you now and it feels like praying. This love is not fierce. It is not grand. It does not roar. It is a quiet love, a love without yearning, without declaration, without motive. We cradle it in our palms just so. We hold it at the base of our throats just so, lightly enough to fend off the gnashing thoughts, carefully enough to stop the dizzy settling in our skulls. I am trying not to write so much about tragedy anymore, but fuck. A 20-year-old boy was killed in your hometown this morning, and I wish I had the words to tell you how sorry I am. I don't know how much sorry I have left to give. I too have been 19 and 17 and 15 and 13 and 12. On my 20th birthday, I wrap myself in the voices of the people who love me, and I can't stop myself from missing them already. I can't make this love feel any less like the preamble to loss. My homies. Sometimes I wonder how we still stand, how we shoulder one another. Sometimes it feels like I'm holding weakly to a world trying desperately to shake me loose. Sometimes I feel unbound from my body, unearthly, unmoored from my skin. My back is only a bridge when it carries me to your door, shivering from the rain, water pooling in the toes of my shoes. I left my umbrella here once, weeks ago. I hardly think of it anymore. I know I will return, whatever the weather, press my ear against the metal frame until I hear your footsteps grow louder, hold my breath against the heat-saturated smell soaking the entry walls, exhale when I step inside, Feel the spinning finally stop. Maybe we are drowning in expectations, deadlines, reminders. Maybe we are constantly forgetting to water our plants and schedule our appointments and call our parents back and be kind to ourselves. But my homies, my homies, my homies, my homies, we are drowning in love. We are each other's wildest dreams. We declare ourselves into existence. We make homes for one another on hostile ground. We lie on dusty dorm floors and recreate the world in our own image. We see each other and we understand. How lucky we are to be young and Black and hopeful and shaking at the knees. How blessed we are to mourn and be mourned, to praise and be praised, to wake up in the morning and know that we are loved.
I don't know about y'all, but I think I'm gonna wake up tomorrow morning and know that I'm loved. It's weird because, like, if y'all are down bad now, I don't know what to tell you because we have a love poem lineup for y'all. Like, love is in the air like pollen or some shit. Like, there's definitely a lot of love poems. So y'all just get ready. That being said, on deck we have Kinsale, but coming up next, please welcome Forrest. A fun fact about Forrest is that in third grade, he tried to go through a goth stage, but the darkest clothing he had was a black short sleeves shirt with a rainbow guitar on it. So he wore that every other day for the entire year. I thought it was so funny. Please welcome Forrest.
The moon on the day of your delivery hung in the shadow of earth. You, who came into being bathed in sunlight, did you know the plummeting of all things toward death? I have been confused for too long with the simple wisdom of the world. Even trees are its subject, their wood breaking like bones stripped of collagen, while inside the orange rots on the windowsill. The lilies droop madly in the vase. Life is a land made barren by the winds of decay. And in it my soul wanders thirsty and lost. And I find it easy to doubt God, to see nothing in birth but the unspooling of an already cut thread. But they say you rose in the room like water lifted by the sun. And so I wait for you as a dry field waits for rain. I lay your pictures on my chest and my heart breathes in their mist. Now I thank time, for it brings us closer. And though one day it will force us apart, the thought of you makes me believe in something beyond the body. If in this world I have become unfaithful, it is only by looking in the wrong places. If I have doubted my heart, it is only from a lack of things to love. Daily now, I rise and give praise to the sun for giving you light. Come night, I keep your name on my lips. I am with you. Even in the final darkness, I will remain, an outline among the stars.
Everyone, please give it up for Forrest. That poem's so beautiful. Um, it's strange because we're not used to, I think, like seeing love poems that are about like non-humans, but that poem's about Forrest dog. If you guys didn't know, it's about a dog. I think we all need someone to love us like Forrest loves his dog. That's the moral of the story. So, yes, and if we are looking up to see who is on deck, that's Jeffrey. So everybody get ready for Jeffrey. But coming up to the stage now, this next poet has two rats named after Avatar characters and once did a makeup lookbook in which she almost looked just like Caliucci's in After the Storm music video. Please give it up for Kinsale.
It is hardest to love in the springtime.
This is what I have learned after years of watching the tulips push their way through the permafrost as a fist unclenches from somewhere deep inside my chest. I have learned this tension while holding on to myself the tightest. Some days when the sun creeps through the cloud cover, I trust that I am the only thing that will never leave me. I'm not so sure. I've split this city like a surgeon, and when the warmer weather comes, I reopen the stapled parts of me to wonder what I can bring together again. The gardens, furthest from my apartment, where the trees unfurl their wedding veils and drop the most beautiful parts of themselves to the earth. These are the bones I know are good, that only hurt sometimes when the light becomes too soft, too beautiful, and the sweetest ache becomes a loneliness. The house, where once I waited for someone who never wanted to know me, where I splattered the walls with oil and drew together the months since I had last cooked for someone I loved around me like a yellowed blanket. These are the veins, still blue and shut, that murmur below the surface, that perhaps if I took some knife to may burst and stain my hands once more. In spring, I know there are some parts of this city that I cannot touch, bleeding and raw, like open chest, like hearts laid out on metal table that hasn't stopped beating, and sometimes I feel the phantom rhythm when I least expect it. Hook of a jawline, woman helping girlfriend with a grocery bag, the man in the bookstore with open earthen eyes that remind me of the color of grass under ice water, the color of nights we fought so hard about going home that I shut myself out in the cold as you worked yourself into a fever, saw the ginkgo buds flattened against the moon, or alone in a frat bathroom sobbing into a dirty sink, my friends at the door, baby, don't you know you're better than this? And suddenly, the breeze was warm through the window, and it was May. And I was lying to myself between the panic that springtime was the season that I always loved you most. It's hardest to love in springtime because of the way the world flushes pink like a kiss, like a tongue catching raindrops with my eyes closed. The birds in harmony sound nearly like your voice bent to the piano, and there's a shape to everything. A you yawning wide open like a daffodil crowded with petals, overwatered by eager, broken sky. There's a form to this hurt, covered in mosses, that whispers its way back into my geography. I frantically try to map my way out again until I must confront it. Oh, ghost, personified by all the parts of the city I have tried so hard to scratch away. I want you to be good bones, shut beneath the scarring, but I still can feel you break, can feel the absence like a missing tooth between the blooms. Something rots and feeds, and above the wide open dawn is warm like your breath. If only, if only, if only. As another downpour washes this city clean, I see only the old things that pull me back under the delusion of new skin. My body feels another pair of hands, which I've already rubbed raw, asking for more. I have made spring a hungry season, an open stomach, rib cage overflowing with foliage to hide what holds it together underneath. Even the softest rain can't help but uncover what all of these winters have laid to waste.
Wow, it's really strange because the poem is so beautiful, but when you were spitting, Kinsale, I started thinking about how achy my bones have been now that I've turned 20. Um, my roommate Jaceline like told me about this like theory of existence wherein after you turn 20 you're basically dying. And so like my bones have been aching, but specifically the line, I want you to be good bones. I'm like, I feel that, like I wish my bones were good bones, but they're done doing that for me. I hope you guys take that away from tonight. Yeah, and keeping up some of this momentum for the night, on deck we have Shimmy, but coming up right now is Jeffrey. Jeffrey loves Toni Morrison, but only when reading it outside of classes. Recently, he spent most of his time playing old Nintendo games instead of completing his final assignments. and he calls it protecting his peace. Y'all, please give a warm welcome for Jeffrey.
I'm not interested in learning how the earth crumbles beneath our feet. Already, I've understood how even gods will watch the world split into two. If the earth opened up for only a single moment, that alone would be enough. I'd peep quietly into all that has been taken and see 60 million staring back at me, their eyes knowing and telling. When that happens, I have to be certain that forever isn't a curse. But we deserve this haunting. This is history living, bloodlines and lineage. This is America personified, or have you forgotten? Granddad's bones ached and he knew that the world opened up to those who listened. My mother's father understood resilience. Delta heat and Mississippi weeds will warn you, but sharecropping reads obedience into his veins. And on quiet nights, he fears that they've embedded themselves into mine. Some things always remain. Lola rose from land unfamiliar to my own. She kisses the earth before she departed and promised to return. My father's mother left home and made it new. The ground whispered its secret as she knelt to kiss it goodbye when Lola is old. The creases between her fingers become the aching cogs of an old sweatshop, stitching, sewing, cutting. This is the price of luxury. This is her cost for survival. At my grandmother's home, there is an ancient magnolia tree that stretches towards the heavens. On very quiet days, the white flowers would bloom, branches swaying gently, the tree breathing a hymn. My mother would hurriedly climb to the top of the tree, laughing until my grandmother came running out, yelling and insisting that my mother get down. Such a shout could only come from someone who knows the necessity of roots, who knows what too much faith in the world will get you. Therefore, I know that the battles that wage on in front of me cannot compare to the hollowed bones and charred flesh that came before. At home, I look down and watch entire family trees transformed into fertilizer at the rise of dawn. When daybreak begs for a new boy, this time I will offer myself. Because I've seen how this land takes what it has not been given. In New Haven, I travel across the country only to witness the sinews of the South tethering me back to home. Every semester, I watch myself fall apart at the hands of a school that does not care about me, but still, somehow, I love it. A match is only made to burn out, and at my best, I am the ash collecting on the ground. Sometimes I want to be more than black powdered residue and the smell of something melting, but I know I am only effective once consumed. When the cinders fall, I'll know that this hurting is more like a birthright, like merit I own. Like, what am I without it? Struggle all too familiar, family sacrificing life itself just for you to get here. So this time I ask, how dare you complain? We deserve this haunting in the way that horror is sweet. The scene sickening in your gut, yet still you keep watching. The subtle grin from professors that know all you can offer is Black pain, simplified. What is this country if not Black pain, commodified? What is poetry if not suffering, remembered, if not the thing that haunts? So maybe we do deserve this haunting. But truthfully, we deserve mothers that don't have to worry and limitless freedoms. The type of living that lets me climb to the top of those magnolia trees without a need to be towering and without guilt for falling down. More often than not, I think healing is simply impossible. Because I don't want the world to stop. I just want it to care for me, to cradle me, for once to open up and not take like it always has, like it always does. My mother and my father met in the Blackest city in the Blackest state, already at the cusp of the earth. Sprouting from arid soil and generations past, everything was up from there. They'd both hoped for the world. They'd both hoped for better. They were given a child, and I would not be enough. I never could be.
I might have to pass the mic after that poem. Oh my God. Jeffrey just be breaking my heart, then smile after. It's kind of evil, actually. Something I noticed while you were doing your poem, Jeffrey, one of our members of Southern Word, Irene, put in the chat when you were like going like really hard, go in Mississippi. And I just feel like this is a great opportunity to tell you guys about the monopoly Southern like states have on word. Like there's at least always one poem about the Southern states. And yeah, Southern Word is a cult, but it's okay because they be spitting. They're welcome. Speaking of Southern, this is a little bit different. Our next poet is from Southern California, specifically Orange County, and unfortunately is not one of the Real Housewives. This poet believes she was a Swedish court jester in a past life and also a flying bison, as well as a simple Scottish shepherd. Ask her about her plan to become a British drill rapper before Drake can. Please welcome Shimmy.
A summer where I divide 0 by 0. This city is less than 2% Black, so I am unsure if my neighbors can see me sitting outside when they walk past my porch, or if I take up the same amount of space as the dislocated leaves, and they figure I'll be raked away with them by summer. But why would I ever want to give my love to something that will not return it? Unloved things are created to be vanished, how white cloth is made to be stained. Ribena stains my white dress and white teeth and is not sorry. It is so easy to pity and also to pity, so I return to neither. I wring the wet cloth sticking to my thighs, and the dirt and pulp mean nothing. I am less so a snake molting skins and more so a gobstopper dissolving through years of hot, wet sleep, leaking colors. Fatigued, I leave everything. Undergarments in the grass, and the wind pulls my skin from me like a jacket to hang on the sky. It wants it off me too. I shoelace in the wind. I go whoosh. I leave myself. I shed my body's intention here too. Forget how I was afforded a life where I could drink Ribena under a sun, while Black. Where am I? I enjoyed erasure before. Both nothing and everything are made out of skin. How does a body? Which bodies are stains? Whose thread are we pulling? How much has been pulled? What color is empty? What color did we start with? Who named the colors? The only color here is white and its many skins. The only thing lying here is a dress. I pull at the loose thread on the hem and watch a creation disappear. I eat the air and exhale outside of everything. But even what we envision to be outside of everything is still inside, a stark, eye-penetrating, naked, empty, white, matter repurposed. There's no room left for imagination here. I find what makes and unmakes me and give a slow, long kiss, my first and last one. Surely we all know by now the pile of thread is not still the dress. I wear it on my joints like a puppet, then wait for collapse. Were any of us here in the beginning?
Wow, yeah. Run it up. Run it up, y'all. Run some respect. That poem's so good. Like, I do this thing where I smile when a poem is good, but sometimes the poems are really sad. So someone starts like crying on stage, and I'm like, yeah, man, really enjoying this. That's how Shimmy's poems make me feel. Wow, this is it's been a great night so far. We're not even done. Let's see. So up on deck we have Irene. But up next, our poet wants you to know that right after they've been recently ordering a bunch of onion rings, Lord posted again on her onion rings review account. And somehow it's not a coincidence. So run Dalina credit for that. Everybody, please welcome Dalina.
Spring is still dark at this hour, the rain falling in blank verse. All the sounds in a chorus croaking together in the pond of my mouth, and I have installed handrails into my mind for exactly this reason. My words cannot hold you steady anymore. We are walking among avenues of sycamore, spruce, the sudden shape of a screech owl. The foliage of memory opening before us. How many selves have I lost wandering in these woods? I am surprised to see my face in the owls, in the half-frozen backs of tortoises. Do you remember how the sun looked landing on us? A field of daylilies, and you who bundled me when you closed your fist around all the different synonyms for me and felt them tense together like one muscle. Were you prepared for the warmth? I've expressed to you my desire to be contained. You know how the cicada cleaves through the underground to sing, knifing into our ears. I want that kind of pain which drills and drills. I want to know what the woodpecker finds when he gores a trunk clean through like a surgeon. I wish the tree's body for my own, to be pierced with a keyhole right through to my center, umbilical cord to a world no longer separable from my own.
If you guys were wondering about our title, like that's all you need to know. The words in the bees, like that's in homage to Dalina. All Dalina gives us is birds and bars, for real, for real. Thank you. Let's see. Coming up next on deck, we have Awar. And right now, this next poet is actually the subject of my Creative Performing Arts Awards project. And it's a photo project. So in the course of the project, Irene helped me discover that art is just taking photos of people looking busted. That's direct quotes. So, you know, they deserve a check. Please welcome the brilliant mind that is Irene.
Oh, wow. Here we are. This is my 8th and last Word semester show. So before I get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone in Word, years past and present and future, for making a home for me. I love you all so much. Oh, Connecticut. You reluctant sunshine, you April snowstorm, you wintry mix. I came to you with my sad girl dreams and a handful of playlists that made me feel real, lugging buckets of humidity through hobby airport, bandaging bruises that Texas couldn't heal. I got on a plane, looked down through the clouds at the 500-year floodplain and named my past unlivable. Hurricane winds took me headlong into your embrace, and I arrived at your door dizzy, penning poems about excess, about the overflowing levees of my heart. I remember you that September, Connecticut. I was so eager to fall in love. You were so ready for me to fall for you. I'd stay up till sunrise just to prove that I could. I would wake in the fractured light just to see you from a new angle. Back then, I thought even the rain was romantic. Thought Doc Martens were an appropriate winter shoe, tried to live in a land without air conditioning, then promptly started wearing short skirts in 25-degree weather. We could not change for each other, Connecticut. Only dream of reinventing ourselves in each other's arms. It's okay, Connecticut. You never promised me I could call you home. It's okay, baby. I never promised you I'd learn, oh, Connecticut. I could not imagine then the trials you'd put me through. The autumn when the cries peeled out of Harkness and the clouds hung heavy over the faux Gothic buildings. The winter I melted into the asphalt when I began to fray at my edges, when the dogs barked at my kin on every sidewalk, when the police were called at Yorkside and a man just trying to eat, when the blue light of the Sovereign turned the black boys into shadows. It was March, Connecticut. The first time I wanted to go home. When it kept snowing in the springtime, when winter winds upturned my umbrella as the ink on the pages of the story of who I told myself I was started to bleed, and I dreamed of that good Texas sun. There are many things I could say about this place where I've come to know you that would be better said with my fists. But it's okay, Connecticut. You cannot kill me because the person I told Yale I was has already died, because I faced them at midnight in the mirror, because I said only one of us is getting out alive, and damn it, I know it's not the one that says they're good at economics. Don't you know by now that poetry is in your bones? Oh, Connecticut. This is not an elegy. How could it be when I've come this far by faith, when each day I crisscross 10,000 steps across the city, and each morning I have breath in me to do it again? Oh, Connecticut. New England's love child, a place blacker than most would care to admit. I suppose I am sorry you have been so long misunderstood, that the pieces of you worth fighting for are not the gazebos or the Gilmore Girls of it all, but the sanctuary you demanded here, the tamales you ate here, the jobs you fought for here, the lives you proclaimed worthy here. Oh, Connecticut. I'm glad I've survived enough reluctant springtimes to finally notice the dogwoods blooming, all this abundance spilling out of every branch and crevice, that I have time now to take a few more walks down your windy streets. Oh, Connecticut. I'm glad I love us both enough to say goodbye.
I don't know about y'all, but that poem got me feeling like I'm graduating. Damn. If y'all see me posing in front of Sterling for taking senior photos or something, it's Idane's fault. We love you, Idane. Word would not be, the same home, for me at least, that it is if it wasn't for you. So please celebrate Idane and all that they do in the chat. Let's see. On deck, we have Logan. But coming up right now, we have Awar. Awar is from Nairobi, Kenya, where she sleeps way more than she does here. And when she goes back this summer, she hopes that the clubs are open. Everybody, please welcome Awar.
I-95 can take you anywhere out of butt crack, Connecticut, into the mouths of Peach Pit, Freshly Ground, Mill, Hobo Johnson, Noank, Snail Mail, Pagliacci's, Tierra Whack, Uncle Bob's, Epic High, Bibio, Jeff Buckley. Someone's dead dog is in the road. I'm terrified of highways. Your arms on the steering wheel are shorter than we'd like them to be. It's Easter Sunday, so when Google says merge onto exit 21 South, say, I don't believe the Big Bang was a coincidence. Because if it was, are we ready to grapple with the fact that the entire human existence is meaningless? So we leave the I-95 and drive into God's mouth instead. God's mouth feels a little like the inside of a vagina. Or is that just all mouth? Mouths, we guess, have something to do with being born, consuming. That's a metaphor for something. Roads are more than just ways to places. We're not sure if our new definition of womanhood is compatible with our belief system. If evolution is truly random, for example, then why do we understand anything? We are driving down the I-95 right now. What if I just took a shit in the car? Right now? What if we just swerved off the road? If we just keep driving forever and ever, and the road never really ends, just us. Nothing really ends, just us. There's a dot, and then a larger dot, and then a lake. I don't trust it. I don't remember. Keep on exit 22 South, so I'll say God reveals what he wants to reveal. It's a quote from a Bible verse I don't remember. From Job, saying, if Job lived in 2021, he would probably be Jeff Bezos, and one day he would wake up and the stock market has stopped existing. What a shit life. Is this any better? Careening down the interstate in somebody else's car? God would say it's our car. I wish you were back in Jeff Buckley's mouth. God's mouth has no teeth. God's mouth looks like the mouth of all the old people in the retirement community in Florida where my grandparents live. What if God is the beginning? For Grandpa Freddie, he's the end. We can't laugh. Exit 23. That's amazing. God is an exit. We're just too fucking stupid to understand it. God is like, just is. No sense. No sound. I would not like us to think about friendship as one letter. Even the drunk part, most of the drunk parts, which are like an E, and the sad parts, which are an O, and the cool parts, which are a H, and the driving parts, which make the same shape as God. As we continue on the highway, we pass Q, Z, M, P, H, Y, and N. This shit low-key alphabet soup. Soup. We are the same shape now. Our shape is better than God's. Wrong exit. Okay, right one. Bluetooth breaks, so we switch to FM. Street Disposition starts playing on the radio. What do we do now? We can fill in our own gaps or become infinite. We can keep going. We can build more roads.
It's that poem never stops being so funny, and it's weird because like there are so many amazing lines in it, but like me and Awar are in a class together, and when the teacher was asking people, oh, what's your favorite part, I was definitely like, this shit low-key alphabet soup. Like it just goes so hard. Thank you so much for sharing, Awar. That poem's awesome. And keeping right along, on deck we have myself, but coming up to the stage we have Logan. One of Logan's favorite Yale memories is when he sang a rendition of My Type by Saweetie in a Mickey Mouse voice for his friends on cross campus at midnight. Please ask Logan about that experience. Everybody give a warm welcome for Logan.
God does not want to see me prosper. But I am both more stubborn and prettier than God, and so I shall simply prosper regardless. Each day he strives to complicate my life, and I think that man must be nothing if not insubordinate and churlish. I wake up, my everything hurts from being slept on so much, so I pop the discontent out from the empty spaces along my spine, and I decide to prosper regardless. I do my skincare. I have to do my skincare because God, that bitter-ass man who'd be older than hell, literally, knew I would be too powerful if I had naturally clear skin. God said, you can't be like these folks who just use St. Ives apricot scrub and go on about their day. You're going to have to work for it. I'm going to make you struggle, because I hope you will learn to value beauty more if it is not easy, if it is something that demands not pain but discipline. And also just because I can. I'm spiteful like that. So I wash my face and anoint myself with oil and decide to prosper regardless. I eat and God laughs, because neither of us knows where any of the food goes. When he created me, God said, yeah, you'll be a little big for the first 10 years of your life. After that, I'll make sure you're built like a scarecrow. They're going to look at you and say, hey, that's Archie Asparagus from VeggieTales. I said, God, you're wrong for that. God said, yes, and your point is? So through all this struggle, I keep trying to find little ways to become stronger. Because if God hadn't given me noodle arms, I simply would have been too powerful. I would have already bested God in hand-to-hand single combat. I would have already attained control of heaven in a winner-takes-all knockout match. Imagine being clowned so hard by a spirit of your own creation, knocked out in a few seconds in a boxing ring built on a planet you shaped together with just some good luck, goodwill, and 7 days of nothing better to do. Would you not be ashamed of yourself? Would you not be embarrassed? Because it's really embarrassing. The angels would simply never let you live it down. They'd be gossiping at the pearly gates like, damn, his ass really got by a mortal. That's crazy. So that is why I have to work so hard nowadays to prosper. Or at least that is why I tell myself that this world is afraid of a version of me reaching its full potential. But maybe that is for the best. Once you reach heaven, there ain't nowhere to go but down anyways. And ain't that the point of a highest plane? At least on earth, I am always striving. And in this way, I never run out of ways to grow. In this way, there are always new parts of me to love, and I think there must be a terrible kind of boredom in perfection. Maybe God doesn't want to see me prosper. Maybe some days he is spiteful for no reason, leaves my prayers unread, is cruelest when I am most desperate. Some days I text him like, Lord, I've seen what you've done for others. And he hits me back like, no, heart emoji. But I am both more stubborn and prettier and pettier than God. So I'm a do me and prosper regardless.
Wow, Logan is giving us comedy, theatrics, hand gestures, a read of God. God, da, 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 da. Wow. Who is doing it like Logan? I really don't know, but you aren't, certainly. On deck, we've got Elena, my darling, my Brantford darling. But up next, we have a multidisciplinary artiste, someone who picked up photography during the pandemic and is still somehow better at it than like literally everyone I know who is doing it like her. No one on this campus, no one in the state of Connecticut, dare I say, on the entire Eastern Seaboard. Speaking of the Eastern Seaboard, she's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I will never let you forget it. Never been there, but excited to see it because of Cassidy. And speaking of which, that's our next poet we have for you tonight, our brilliant production officer / tap manager, Cassidy Arrington. So give it up in the chat for Cassidy.
Fuck it. If I were a boy, I too would run until the sidewalk disappeared. Run until the soles of my feet didn't need the ground for reassurance. I would beat my face with pixie dust, roll my neck at gravity, death drop into Neverland, all my femme flattened in its earthbound glory would be the most beautiful suicide spilled out on the cement, like a black boy's first period. When I bleed here, it will only be from my gums, swirling with saliva in Peter Pan's mouth. He and I make believe until pixie dust drips from all our lost boy parts. I take his love to save Tinkerbell a surgery, and all them other bitches the heartache erupt into boyhood in the worst way. For the sake of the girlhood I left on the windowsill, see, I can't be your sweet girl unless she's a dyke. I can't be your man unless he, she, her. We ain't whole. Sleep in separate beds in the same body. Pass the milk. Don't say good morning. Cheerios sour. Soggy with a masculinity I was never breastfed. Don't know how it got here. Must have flown in through the window. Still, I eat all my food. Mama taught me never to waste anything. I poke at breasts that fell on my chest however many years ago, like peas at the edge of the plate, and still wouldn't dare grab the knife to finish them. I stare. What will these do for my body but drain it? Why would God give me someone else's meal plan? I was a girl before I was her leftovers. If I have to be a boy to see her again, who do I take that shit out on? I thank God, rush to his temple like a headache, invite all the lost boys who could not figure how to finish their daily bread, make eternal love, gag and bloodied mouth, make him eat his words since we cannot stand the taste. Then if he strikes us down, tells us to fold our bodies into a prayer or a pavement, we run until our souls don't need this earth for reassurance. Thank you. It's always so weird. I kind of hate it. You finish a poem and then you're like, on deck. All right. It's so weird. Like, there's probably a lot of people, he can hear me right now, but I just feel like I'm in my room talking to myself. It's nice. All right. I meant to say this before, but on deck we have Oscar and Elena. I want to give you guys her awesome fun fact, who's coming up next, had the haircut that you were about to see again when she was 5 years old. She had the exact same haircut, and she's channeling 5-year-old self energy tonight. So y'all give it up for Elena.
Of all the poems I could have written for the gentle animal that is you, I know that this is not the one I wanted. I must confess, 5 out of the 7 days this week I have spent sleeping in the warm enclave of your back. I have imagined this life crumbling to a fine nothing. Our existence thinning like the southern earth where you and I witnessed the hatching of this love. The evolution of it like wrens who return to us with darker feathers at the start of a new year. One epic winter after another, this land has blistered. It is too cold now for the birds to remain, but from where we lie in the mornings, we can hear them singing, loudly as they do. For them, I cast aside the curtains. I welcome the old sun, and you listen for a moment. Your chest moving in rhythmic rises as you drift back to the silence of daybreak. Oh, to live so simply, to think the birds will always be birds, and the curtains, just curtains, and that I just worry too much. So often I lie in your tenderness, imagining what will happen when the earth stops its rotation, that our love will be the first precious thing to go, followed by the birds and the maples, the satellites, all these gridded cities. I want to believe it when they say that in the wake of our destruction, the earth will repopulate in cycles, that the birth of new organisms will be at its highest during the first and last moments, at the beginning and the end when our love will exist as both a nascent and a dying thing, love. I wish that I could tell you that the world will always be here for us. But for now, I am trying to make this heart a little more tender. For now, I wish to hold you until the earth starts to cave in. For now, as all the animals we have ever loved begin to disappear from this land, I will remember that for a few more seasons, the dogs will keep on barking, the flowers will keep on waving their good hello, and you will keep on loving just as you do.
I hope we can all just celebrate Elena for writing the soft boy love poem that every one of us environmentalists need. The next time one of your like meat eater friends, sorry, not me being an angry vegan, not me using your poem to put fire into the angry vegan movement. I'm kidding, Elena. That was beautiful. And coming up next, and actually our last poet of the night, is our beloved word president. I feel like I'm always making Oscar kind of go later in the night because I just love his poetry so much, and I just want everyone to end their nights that way. Let me give you guys some fun facts about Oscar. As a little kid, Oscar's head severely outweighed his body, so the weight of it often had him falling over. And in pictures, you can see people holding him up like a doll so that his baby body wouldn't plummet to the ground. Y'all give it up for Oscar.
I'll begin at the center and build outward. First with a boy, browned and blistered, his eyes awash with all that he is yet to sow, reaping cotton balls in the season of drought. The land speaks in the tongue of mothers forgotten to history, and every severed white head plucked from the earth an imagined act of hate and love, though sometimes work is just that, the getting by. And sometimes the wired flesh of cotton tears the tips of his fingers. He bites and tastes the pavement against which he beats his feet away from white hands. Sometimes I taste it too. Taste liquor and iron and the ways they sneer at me, using the letters of my own name to tell me a story I already know of the disaster ahead of and behind me. Surely there will be recompense for the violent reconstituting of the double helix coiling round me and us, and we are trying to break in the direction of our looted wholeness. There is a boy writing his eulogy with spit and blood along the lip of a bottle, and like a compass needle, all his injuries point in the direction of empire. I cradle his body, broken in all the same places as my own. Tell him there will be time yet for rest, though my eyes are mirror, are recursion, are witness to the blade against which his skin has known injury, has known poison and blight and gunfire and wars of forgotten meaning of all the ways we know death. Even now, explosive shells sound in my dreams. In my dreams, I have died dozens of times. I wish I could claim my mind as my own, claim my death as my own, and insist that my brain is more than graveyard. My white therapist nods, squirms in her chair, doesn't admit to the fulfillment of a project undertaken long before she and I first drew breath. There are days when I wonder who she talks to, how she bears the weight of this young, brutalized world, by which I mean, isn't it a miracle that any of us pass through this life in one piece? There is a boy praying for the dead, for the unborn, his worship as divine as the expiring white wax of veladoras. In hushed tones, he whispers, God is only as good as we imagine him to be. And the good book is printed under his skin, and isn't the prophet always the unlikeliest among us? I trust him as though he were my brother, and he is. He takes my hand, takes me in the direction of Eden. Thank you.
Y'all, I'm falling apart. Like, at a certain point in that poem, I was like, Cass, you don't have to live past this, you know? Like, this could be a great way to go. Like, I just need Oscar to outlive me so that he can give a poem at my funeral, and then I'll be happy. Thank you so much for bringing us out that way. What an amazing piece by Oscar, and please everybody show some more love for everybody that did a poem tonight, and yeah, just please celebrate all the great voices of word. This was a great show, and thank you for all of the love in the chat. I'm sure people will like go back and check it out after it's over. If you like what you saw today, check us out in the fall. You know, we always got something up under our sleeves. So we're definitely gonna have more cooking for you guys. And yeah, stay warm.